Okay, so I just got a new microphone and I'm waiting for a 6K who has volunteered to be my guinea pig. In fact, he was the one who came up with the idea. Basically, what he wants to do is he's going to play a game with me, and we are going to play an even game, and he's going to have me talk through it. So I'm going to be looking at some of the mistakes that a 6K would make on an open board, as opposed to taking a 6 stone handicap and me having to start fights and things like that. It's going to be more of an open board. Okay, so we can say that, in a normal game between even opponents on an open board, what is it that delineates, what kind of moves, what kind of things are 6Ks missing? Are they playing too slow? Are they playing too fast? Are they playing, what is it about their game, or in this particular 6K's game, that's keeping him at 6K, or has kept it so that he hasn't gotten to a higher level yet? But right now he's in the middle of a teaching game with somebody else. So I decided to do something that I've thought about for quite a long time. Um, it starts out with a very simple problem. The problem and the question that I'm going to pose to you right now is, how much territory does white and black have? So I think that if you want to, you can pause right now, think about it, and come back with the answer in your head, and then we'll go from there. So you can pause if you want to. If you didn't pause, obviously we're going to keep going on, so I'm going to keep talking. Um, Here is my answer. My answer is in the form of a question. And the question and this very important question, because Go, after all, is a game of territory, and the one with the most territory at the end of the game wins. Um, what does it mean to have territory? So what is the simplest definition of territory? So let's go back to the beginning of the game, or, an open board, and let's see if we can define something that's territory. So again, I'm going to ask you this question. How much territory, or what is the simplest definition of territory? And again, pause the video, think about it, think through it, and think of the very simplest definition of what is territory and what is not territory. How do we tell whether we have territory or not? And you'd be surprised how many, even Dawn level players don't really have an easy understanding or a quick answer for what is the absolute simplest definition of territory. And I'll tell you, it's going to be pretty cool when you first hear it, because you're probably thinking about surrounding. Okay, I've got these empty spaces I've surrounded. Um, I've got these, intersections or stones that I've surrounded. But surrounding is actually not in the simplest definition of territory. Because, for instance, let's say that we had a wall all the way across the board, and let's say that this was a single wall, okay? All of these, I don't want to click on all the spaces in between. So let's just pretend this is one big wall of black stones. Um, Black has basically surrounded each half of the board. He's surrounded this half and he's surrounded this half. And even if we were to put a wall, somewhere over here, he's fulfilled the obligation of surrounding. However, maybe not. And again, these walls are perfectly thick. Maybe not here, but almost definitely here. Part of this area is not his territory. So we have to ask ourselves, well, what is territory? If it's not surrounding, what's the easiest way to define territory? And the easiest way is actually through life and death. Because you can have something surrounded and it not be territory. And you can also have your opponent's stones surrounded. Let's look at, a position like this. Am I hitting shift? Shift that? Yeah, okay. Maybe I should have set this up before the video. Okay, here we have opponent stones surrounded, and these stones are not territory. But these stones are territory. So we see the definition of territory is very simple. Something is territory if your opponent's living stones cannot touch that area of the board. If you have the ability for your opponent's living stones to exist in a certain area of the board, that is not territory. If your opponent's living stones cannot ever go there, it has become territory. So let's go ahead and go back to our game position. And using this idea, we can see that both sides really do not have a lot of territory. I bet you when you first tried to count it out, you were trying to count out this area, see how many points this is worth, how many points is this worth, how many points is this worth, how many points is this worth, and really, once you look at it, this area is not territory because we can hit the 3-3. This area is territory, so we've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 or 7 points here, and it could become more later or less later depending on how it goes. Maybe there's a little territory here, but really this area isn't territory because black can hit here. He can do all kinds of different stuff. So this area is not really territory yet. Maybe these 4 points are territory because we can imagine if black decided he wanted to do this, he's really not going anywhere with that. It's going to die. But he could do this. He could do this. So this area is worth about 3 or 4 points. Now it can become worth more later, but as far as counting territory right now, we don't really have any. Nobody has any. Hey guys. I'm gonna have to go. Hold on just 1 second. Okay, I may have to cut that part of my video out. Okay, so here's the thing. We don't have any territory as of right now. And I don't know if my mic is working or not. Let's see. Okay, I don't know if I turned my mic off or if I didn't. And I don't know if it's on right now or if it's not. But I may have to do this video and cut entirely over again at one point. But let's just look at something. Since we've talked about territory being no opponent's stones can ever live there, then we have to say that most of this is influence. And the difference between influence and territory is that your opponent's stones can live in an area of influence. And the definition, the defining line between that, whether you actually have points or actually have influence, which is not points, is whether they can live there. So let's look at the possibility. White can live here. He could probably even live here. So we're going to put another group there, or another potential group. He can live here. Black could live here. And I'm not saying that these are going to be good moves. I'm saying that these are potential groups. They are what I'm going to call quantum groups. Okay, I'm gonna put in all these different groups that can exist throughout the board, and you'll notice that these become kind of the big points or the flux points through the board. Some of them are very good, some of them are very bad moves. Like for instance, for black to play E is really not all that good. I mean, it's just a bad move. For white to play C is maybe a good move, but it's approaching not being a very good move, because independent of life or the ability to live is the cost of life. Okay, and the cost of life we can envision in this way. It's very simple and kind of complex at the same time. It's really fun to think about it this way. Each of these groups is what I would call a quantum group. It is a potential living group that you can make at any time you want. Now, here's the thing. Every time a potential living group comes onto the board, it has an effect on every other quantum group that can possibly exist from that point forward. And therefore, when you're thinking about a move in your area of influence, you should view it as a splitting attack. And here's what I mean by that. Black has decided, I'm going to live right in the middle of the L17 stone and the F17 stone. These are real groups, and H17 is a real group as well. But let's say Black's ability to play, or in this case it wouldn't be killing off a black quantum group, but let's say that white ends up, in the course of black living, getting some moves in over here, and black ends up living. Well, what white has in effect done by forcing these stones to live, he has strengthened the ability or the potential for this quantum group at A to live very easily. And he's also weakened the real group of these black stones right here. So we see that every time a real group comes onto the board, it affects the ability of every other quantum group on the board to either live or be strong or be weak. And in essence, a good attack is something that weakens every other quantum group on the board in the midst of attempting to turn the quantum group that your opponent is trying to make real into a real group. So for instance, standard invasion here. This is actually a very strong quantum group. Before you even play a move here, we know, where'd all those letters go? Oh, I think I passed and then I put the letters in. Okay, so I'm just gonna pass again instead of playing them. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Okay, so we know that this group at A right here is already it's already alive. Basically, it's a strong group. It's not even just alive, but it is very easy to make it live. Versus a group at C, it's very difficult to make that one live. It's more of a struggle, it's more difficult, and black gets more. And that's the essence of what makes a move good or bad. So when you think about invasions and you think about attacking, what you should do is you should think about how to make every other group on the board stronger or weaker in the act of forcing your opponent to live. Every time they make a real group, you should be thinking about killing off other quantum groups. In other words, other potential abilities that they have to invade or create a new group should be either A, completely taken away, or B, made much more weak. And that is the essence of a good attack. It should be a splitting attack between what is and what can be on the board. If you do that, then what you're doing is you're making profit through your attack and you're playing good go. I hope you enjoyed the video. I got my 6K guy. His name's Volcan, and we're going to be playing a game pretty soon. I got to check with my wife before because my kids came in and invaded. I didn't tell her I was making a video. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you like the sound quality. Just pick